The following question reads, an archaeologist has 6 ancient artifacts, a figurine, a headdress, a jar, a necklace, a plaque, and a tureen, no 2 of which are the same age. She will order them from first, oldest, to sixth, most recent. The following has already been determined. Okay, so let's write down our inventory. We have F, H, J, N, P, and T, and we're placing them in order first through sixth. And remember that first is going to be the oldest, and sixth is the most recent. All right, so now let's go to the rules. Rule number 1, the figurine is older than both the jar and the headdress. Okay, so simple sequencing rule. We're told that F is older than the jar and the headdress, and since we know that the oldest is on the left, that means F is to the left of both J and H. We know this means that J and H can't be first, because if they were first, there'd be no place for F to go. And likewise, this means F can't be last, and F also can't be fifth, because if F were fifth, then we'd still need to place J and H, and there's only one place left, so we couldn't place both of them. All right, rule number 2, the necklace and the jar are both older than the tureen. Okay, so similar to rule number 1, except this time we're told that the necklace and the jar are older than the tureen. Okay, so that means that T has 2 artifacts to the left of it, meaning T can't be first or second. We know that N and J both have at least 1 artifact to the right of them, which is T, so that means N and J can't be last. And we can actually combine rules 1 and 2 like so, where we have F, and we know from rule number 1 that F is going to be before J and H. And then we know from rule number 2 that N and J are going to be before T. So this tells us that T has at least 1, 2, 3 artifacts to the left of it, meaning T also can't be third. And we know that F has at least 1, 2, 3 artifacts to the right of it, meaning F also can't be fourth. Now remember, we can't say that N is going to be to the right of F because N, as you see, has no actual relation to F at this point. Moving on to rule number 3, either the plaque is older than both the headdress and the necklace, or both the headdress and the necklace are older than the plaque. Okay, so we have an either-or situation. So if the plaque is not older than both the headdress and the necklace, then both the headdress and the necklace are older than the plaque. In contrapositive, if both the headdress and the necklace are not older than the plaque, then the plaque is older than both the headdress and the necklace. Now, this is a really great example of not just blindly writing down the rules and following the rules, but keeping the passage in context. So, normally when we have an either-or situation, write not A arrow B, not B arrow A. So this is, we either have A or B. We have a scenario looking at the necessary condition of the principal rule and its contrapositive over here. That is a possibility, meaning B and A could occur together. However, thinking about the context of the passage and rule number 3, we know that we're ordering the artifacts from first to sixth, and no 2 artifacts are the same age. So it really doesn't make sense for P to be able to somehow be both older than both H and N and yet also younger than both H and N. So that just means, taking into context the passage, we cannot have the necessary conditions of rule number 3 and its contrapositive be a possibility. And that's a really, really great example of not just blindly looking at the rules, but always taking into context the information that's given to you in the passage. Okay, so what does this ultimately mean? It means that P is going to be either to the right of both of H and N or to the left of both of H and N, meaning we're never going to have a situation where one of H and N is to the left of P and the other is to the right of P. This will never happen. So we're either going to have both H and N to the left of P, or we're going to have both H and N to the right of P. All right, and the last thing we can write out is you can see in the first spot, we can't have J, H, or T. So the only three that are left that are possibilities are F, P, and N. Likewise, in the sixth spot, we cannot have F, N, or J, meaning the only three possibilities are P, H, and T. All right, so those are rules, our deduction, and our setup. Now that we have all of that written out, let's go ahead and hit the questions.